अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ठीक।
तुझे नहीं कहा था, दूसरे सीआर को कहा था।
Assalamualaikum
खैर
everyone.
तूने भी कह दिया तो चलो माशाल्लाह, अच्छे हो।
Kindly mark your
चलो
attendance
चलो,
in the
कोई
chat
नहीं।
option. So we are resuming back. Unfortunately, we haven't started our midterm exam. University is still in a sort of a confusion state. I think they will be starting the midterm exam from Wednesday, 1st of April. And because of this, I will not be including any of these material in the midterm exam. This is therefore part of the final syllabus. Should not be included because we already have concluded our midterm exam syllabus. So whatever we're doing in today's session, one session, we will be discussing material from the final term exam. Our discussion on the midterm exam is all done, completed. We have completed our discussion on the midterm paper as well. So that is the end of that. Meanwhile, today I hopefully the university will announce the date sheet for the midterm exam. Not sure why they did delaying it. Perhaps they wanted to start it from the 1st of April. Remember, we were discussing the environment, the chapter that is based on the open system theory, which indicates that organizations are constantly being influenced by its environment. That is the internal environment as well as the external environment. The internal environment, we had a comprehensive discussion, which is known as the organizational culture. We looked at how it is constituted, but also looked at how to teach and guide people about the organizational culture. Now we're shifting our debate and looking forward to the outside environment. We looking at environment from two perspectives, two aspects, internally or externally, both ways. We're looking at environment for two things, two types of influences. These are classified as opportunities and threats. So a good manager is constantly looking forward to capitalize on opportunities and avoid the threats. As a manager, you will be continuously scanning the environment to grab upon opportunities where you can be able to multiply, to grow, and to improve. Whereas you're also looking forward to threats, obstacles, hurdles, actions of the outside environment that may harm your progress. So whether you're discussing the internal or we are discussing the external in both ways, managers constantly looking for opportunities and for threats. Opportunities may include launch of new technologies or capitalizing on new technologies, or maybe it is something a brilliant new idea where you be able to expand your product line or launch new services. Maybe also you are entering into new markets based on new customer needs. We're constantly scanning the environment, the outside world for such opportunities. Many organizations have gained a lot of success by constantly looking for opportunities and be able to capitalize on that. Many ways, if you're not able to do that, and others like competitors are able to capitalize on these things, they tend to become threats, issues, challenges that may hinder your performance, affect your sales, or lower your customer base. Number of customers may not be sticking with you. So you should be able to foresee those changes. At times, these changes are so profound you cannot control this. So they heavily affect the way you progress. Specifically nowadays, we see the rise of the energy prices because of the oil shortage or expected oil shortages, or the cost of that has grown. In economic recessions where economy is not growing, it's going down, the buying habits of people tend to change, affect your product sales. So Before going into the environment, we always should be looking for opportunities and then threats. Keeping an eye on this debate, we now focusing on the closer by environmental elements. But are these how they influence organizations? We're looking at elements which are very closely, directly impacting our task. That's why these elements are called task environment. This includes forces, influences from suppliers, customers, competitors, distributors, and public pressure groups. Um, these are very specific, usually to an industry, to an organization, to a firm. Therefore, they are also called specific environmental elements. Task environment or specific environment, these are two synonyms, very similar words, the same thing. Now, there is a interesting debate which is the most important element in the specific or the task environment. Although the book has started with suppliers, one of the key influencers, key elements. Kindly, if you could keep your mics mute. अगर आपने mics को mute रखें तो interruption नहीं होगी. Better is to keep your mics mute, please. If you have any question, raise hands or mark it in the chat option. If you look at suppliers, these are one of the important factors in the task environment because they directly affect organizations, because they provide inputs, material to the company, whether these should be the most important or the customers, because they are the biggest source of revenues and you are able to sell your outputs to them. को याद होगा ओपन सिस्टम थ्योरी में हमने इनपुट प्रोसेसिंग और आउटपुट का मॉडल प्लेस किया था क्लास से. इनपुट और आउटपुट दोनों इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर्स हैं. डजंट मैटर विच कम्स फर्स्ट है, दोनों ही इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट है. मैनी बिलीव्स दैट customers and suppliers both are the most important, the critical elements from the task environment. दोनों की इंपॉर्टेंस वेरी सिमिलर नेचर की है. बुक ने सप्लायर्स को पहले प्रेजेंट कर दिया, तो ये फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि शायद सप्लायर की इंपॉर्टेंस सबसे ज्यादा है, but definitely they provide material, equipment, or even labor. These are the vendors, sources, which provide you the material for your production or your transformation. They tend to be very difficult elements to play with, specifically if they are unique and scarce and limited supplier of some an element which is not provided by others. They tend to have a strong, big bargaining power. A good manager therefore needs to have many suppliers of the same product. Preferably, they should be having multiple suppliers of the same product. If they are big suppliers like Wapta or Mapco, they could raise price of their material at their will, and therefore they could have bigger bargaining power. And organizations therefore need to tackle this issue. Once the price of the input rises, logically you need to raise price of your products. That's the way the companies usually do it because they're not able to cope up with the cost. Once the prices are high, naturally your demand may go down because there's an inverse relationship between the price of a product and demand of a product. So it's a constant juggling between decisions. You need to take care of a lot of aspects while dealing with suppliers. So therefore, it is recommended that you have multiple suppliers available for single product so that you could create a sense of competition among them and you could be able to generate constant supply of goods at relatively lower prices. Many companies have developed sophisticated procurement systems to do this. And because many companies have sellers suppliers, sourcers who are basically across the globe and therefore need to manage their supply line from the international sources. So it becomes a very hectic task, but it is one of the most important things that managers need to do. Many organizations have a very sophisticated vendor selection and procurement processes. For that, they also have utilized technologies to get it done. Now we have an idea about what suppliers are and what they could do. We could shift to our debate to the other side of the organization that is handling the output. Organizations there, more probably, we're talking about the manufacturing concerns. Once produced goods, we have the goods available in terms of the stock. Now they need to get this close to the consumers. For that, organizations rely heavily upon the distributors. The distributor world includes almost all types of distributor channels, just channel members, which includes maybe the distributor who are logistic support providers. They also include wholesalers, organizations that tend to stock because of their capacity to stock items of multiple companies at a single place. And then finally the retailers. यानी बुक ने डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स के अंदर तमाम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चैनल एलिमेंट्स को भी इंक्लूड कर दिया यानी होलसेलर को भी डाल दिया रिटेलर्स को भी डाल दिया रिटेलर्स आर मोस्ट प्रॉब्ली दोस शॉप्स from where the consumers go and buy items. These could be very specialty retail shops dedicatedly designed for a product like shoes or like clothes or like medicines. Or could be wide variety of stores like the Walmart, one of the biggest retailers of the world. In fact, one of the companies with the highest return for the sales. In fact, in the physical world, Walmart is the biggest sale provider. However, in the online world, I think the Amazon has got a greater share. But in the physical market, overall combined, Walmart is the biggest share. It has competitors in Sears, Target, Kmart, and many other stores across the globe. It has got operations across world-leading countries. It has a strong presence. It has wide variety of stores. When the first stop shop available where you can buy anything. वो specialty store भी हो सकता small kids garment like, or it could be a supermarket where sells almost everything. So these are distributors. But once you're selling with distributor like Walmart, is a giant bigger store. It has a very strong bargaining power because the public goes there and most visible front uh, section stalls have higher rates. If you want your products to be placed there, you need to pay higher margins to Walmart. If you don't agree that, Walmart will not carry your product. It has therefore is a strong bargaining power. These distributors also tend to play interesting games with companies and customers. The issue of stocking is also there. In case of any discounts, promos, they may stock the items, create an artificial shortage. And once it becomes a regular price, then throw products back into the market. Now, a company therefore needs to manage its distributors in the best possible way. Some companies therefore don't rely on other distributors. They tend to create their own distribution setup, their own shops. The Nike shop, the Adidas shop, they sell their own shoes. Very special they are. But then, if your item is, for example, a consumer-based good like Unilever and Nestle and other companies, they create products for normal general consumers. You cannot rely upon your own outlets. So you're dependent upon distributors to get it close to your consumers. For example, Nestle's users are there in villages, so they take their products at their own to those consumers. They rely upon distributors. Someone asked me in my class that if a company minimize or minuses these distributors, they be able to provide lower prices to their consumers. But practically it is not possible. Your cost gets higher once you get it going in your own software. For example, Nestle and Kabirwala, how you be getting Nestle products if they're doing it their own and not using distribution setups? So it becomes practically impossible, and you need to rely on distributors for your supply of goods. This makes your supply chain processes very difficult, very harsh, and very troublesome. At times, a lot of fluctuations cause a lot of losses because of certain issues that are there. So has to be something that is to be done very systematically. If you look at customers as another element of the uh, task environment, perhaps one of the most important in many ways. These are the ones on which the whole competition is based on. The customers could be business buyers, business customers, or could be governmental customers, could be home buyers or consumers, call them consumers who finally consume the products. So there could be wide variety of these, and therefore their needs vary. Organizations need to understand the variation in their needs. The biggest factor in customer and consumer and buyers is that they are very trendy. Their moods and wants tend to shift with passage of time. And organization constantly need to keep a track on that through their surveys, market research, and many more. Many companies fail to do that, and therefore they tend to lose a lot of revenues and sales. Now our customers are empowered a lot because of the social media and internet access. They are constantly comparing products. So uh, companies need to provide access to the social spaces where they could offer advertisements. Also, they provide technologies to customers so they'd be able to operate their facilities. Like in banking, you see online banking apps and online transfers of money. If they don't allow this, the customers don't want to be their customers. So it is very tricky nowadays in terms of the customers, but the whole competition is based on that. In fact, customer consumers have their own groups called the public pressure groups in the United States and Western countries, where they constantly rank and uh, do conduct surveys on different products prices and their quality. If they don't find quality with products and they feel that the prices are high, they generate public opinion about that, and your company sales or reputation may go down. So in Western countries, we also have consumer goods groups where they could rank or de-rank companies in many ways. Finally, but not the least, we have the competitors. I think the most negative and threat-based component is this one in the task environment. The constant sense of rivalry between organizations is very logical. They all looking to multiply, grow, and generate profit from the same market. That's why once intensified competition is there, profits are hard to find. You cannot generate profit simply because of price fluctuation. Price fluctuation is not possible. आपने beverages के वर्ल्ड में देखा होगा the prices are very similar. Even आपने मोबाइल के वर्ल्ड में भी देखा होगा कि prices of the same products are very similar. आप उसके अंदर बहुत सारा वेरिएशन काफी देर नहीं रख सकते, हाई प्राइस टैग नहीं रख सकते. Your customer will not buy your products. For that, you need to enhance your quality or provide unique features in your products to gain profits and set higher prices. Also, in intensified competitions, there are past players, past competitors available. They make it difficult for newcomers to survive. At times, they lower their prices in a way that they outplay the new ones. उनको because economies of scale का advantage होता है, larger scale production, larger scale sales. Once the sales are at a larger, bigger volume, they could even cut their prices, still be able to survive because their fixed price component is low as possible. Also, they tend to create sense of loyalty among customers. because of their quality products, because of their brand established brands, brand names. Therefore, it's difficult for many new competitors to jump in and to break the sense of loyalty. A new competitor therefore needs to work really hard at times, do the survival journey for longer time period. Need to work with patience, diligence, and more hard work. You would love to be in a market where no one is there, but unfortunately, because of the high intensified competition, such entries are very rare. Therefore, you need to cope with the high level of competition. Since we are done with the task environment, uh, where our focus will shift towards the journal environment. Journal environment are factors, these are typically far away from the organizations, so their influence may not be as direct, may be coming indirectly. For example, economy, the economic conditions, they might affect your competitors, you, your suppliers, your distributors. In fact, will definitely affect your customers. For example, if the economy is booming and growing, and we have a higher per capita income, that is, everyone has ample money to play with, then their customers will have brighter, bigger buying power. They will not only be buying basic goods but also be buying the luxury items. Vice versa, in economic recessions, your buying power goes down. Also, if the per capita income is high because of the good economic growth in a country, the uh, every type of products is selling, and people have money to spare, that is to save monies. So therefore, they could invest in banking options and other forex trading and many more. Vice versa, in a economy that is booming down. The unemployment rate, for example, if it is high, it means people labor is cheaply available. Vice versa, with employment rate is high, especially in Europe and Americas, there are not ample people to uh, come in to work at a lower rates. So your labor cost rises. Now, all of these contribute directly at times and cast an impact on the organizations. Most of the times, they may cast an indirect impact on the organizations through other elements, through uh, other players like suppliers, like distributors, and even like competitors. So we're looking at these factors which are generalized in nature, but they have direct or indirect impact on the organizations. For example, technology is one of the biggest challenge, as we seen in the second module. That is, technology is itself is a trend or a challenge. Specifically, we're talking about information technologies. They basically change the way you produce, manage people, or even sell products to your customers. If you are using an old uh, state technology, an older one, you are not able to generate the same level of performance or advantage over your competitors. They also make things obsolete very quickly. Sleep means vanish. So if new technology is not adopted, you see previous products and services cannot survive. In fact, they cannot be sold at higher prices by any means. So you'll gradually but slowly losing competition if you're using older technologies. Uh, Technology also has a profound impact the way you transform products, not only input, not only output, but also transformation process. If you're using efficient technology, it makes your production flawless, your cost goes down, and your production quality rises. So therefore, technology generally and infrastructure is something that really contributes towards organization. If such technology is not available in your area, you're forced to outsource and get it done from the other countries. Like many countries opt China as a sourcing country where technological Uh, Development is there, a high level of technology is there, but also labor cost is cheap. So therefore, you see many production houses shift their facilities to China because they're not be able to handle it at their own countries. So the technological forces really change the way the company processes are done. If you're not aware of the latest technologies and you're not able to grab it on early stages, you are definitely losing opportunities, and the chances of threats are multiplied. The biggest threat, therefore, usually comes through the technologies that people tend to avoid and not using. Uh, Once we move ahead, we're running out of time, and once we move ahead, we'll be looking at other factors that are coming from the general environment, including the global competition as well. And then finally, in this chapter, you will see that we will be able to look at the phenomena of environmental uncertainty. Environmental uncertainty is where managers are not aware of what is happening in the environment. If they're not aware, how they be able to cope with that? We're looking at how environmental uncertainty is created. What are the factors that contribute towards environmental uncertainty? We'll be using this 2 by 2 matrix, environmental uncertainty matrix. You see, cell 1 is the easiest place a manager could be in terms of environment, a very predictable, very known. Cell 4 environment is very dynamic and very unpredictable, where many components are unknown. Now, managers are symbolized for control. They need to guide others to get it done. If they themselves are not able to understand what is happening, how they will be able to guide others? So we'll be looking at in future about these elements. I think that's it as far as today's session is concerned. Keeping it short, keeping it slow, so that we are able to concentrate on the midterm exam. And once we back, we will then be covering these elements in further detail. I think that's it for today. For any question, you can place it in the WhatsApp group.